Hmm. Fran, the baby's crying. Fran, go get him. I'm trying to sleep. Finally. Huh? Francine? What?
Shh. Don't move.
Uh, Kai? What the hell's going on?
Well, apart from you giving me enough blackmail to use against it to last us the rest of our lives, Yo was just fussing again, and Rags is finally asleep.
Hmm? What the? Uh, okay. And is it a good thing for them to be falling asleep while they're still plush? Or is this something else that we need to start worrying about?
I dunno, and I reckon they could use a sleep right now. Hopefully it'll turn out to be a step in the right direction.
Hmm, I wonder what changed.
It was probably your snoring that did it.
Huh?
Jeremy? Is that you in there?
Yeah, it's me.
And, what exactly are you doing crawling around in the vents?
Are you packing any heat at the moment?
Not at this moment present. Why?
It's just how I go around gathering information about what's going on around the factory. That's kind of my whole thing.
Ah, well, just as long as I don't catch you spying on me or doing anything scummy by doing this, don't matter none to me. How you feeling there, Jeremy?
Eh, a bit better, I suppose.
Great. Now back it up a bit there, buddy. What's wrong with the way that I snore exactly?
Nothing. It's actually a good thing, ironically enough. I don't know if you knew about this, but Walden also had a loud ass dad snore that could wake the dead. Don't ask me why, but his snoring would actually help Rex fall asleep.
What? Are you serious?
I mean, the proof is currently slumped against your shoulder right now. Without Walden, this place is pretty much dead silent, which probably isn't all that comforting. I want to say it took about 15 to 20 minutes after you dozed off for Rags to follow suit.
Sounds about right. Do you know if letting them sleep while they're plush is gonna do them any good?
Well, I'm no expert on ragdolls or anything, but I feel like it could go either way. I'd prefer to be an optimist and think it'll at least get them moving again. But it could also go the other way.
I don't see how falling asleep could possibly make the situation any worse.
Oh, you must not know anything about Harold or it then, do you?
Seriously? That old ghost story? I didn't think a factory full of a bunch of big-brained science types would believe in some old made-up folktale.
Well, we wouldn't be so worried about it if we hadn't dealt with them before.
Are you serious?
As a heart attack. And for all our sakes, we can only hope that it's only home they encounter in the dream world, and not his aggressive, chaotic counterpart. Maybe, just maybe, home can give them the pep talk they desperately need.
Oh, please. Whew. Even Walden managed to grow out of that old story. If anything does change after they wake up, it's gonna come from getting some much-needed shut-eye, not otherworldly powerful beings that nobody has really seen.
Sure. You just keep on telling yourself that, Wallace.
Oh. Well, hello there, visitor. Long time no see. It's been quite some time since I've seen someone manage to sneak into my realm. How have you been, young Patchwork? Or do you go by Darling now? Patchwork Darling? Darling Patchwork? Tell me if I'm getting close. Hey now, why the long face? Aren't you happy to see your old friend home again? They're miserable. Oh, nonsense. How can anyone possibly be miserable when they're asleep? Don't you realize? Or have you already forgotten about what happened to Walden Darling? Unless we forget, they're a rag doll, not a puppet. Oh. Oh, I see. Let me think. How much time do we have? Enough. Splendid.
Rags? Rags?
Wally?
Rags?
Wally?
Rags? It's me. I'm here.
Wally!
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
I know,
sorry.
I know,
I'm
I
sorry.
know, I know,
I'm
I
sorry.
know. It's okay. This isn't your fault.
Please don't go. I can't do this by myself. Please, babe. I need you here.
Rags, look at me. Listen. You can do this. I know you can. You're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. And you won't have to do this alone. There are so many people out there waiting for you right now who support you. Everything's going to be all right. I'll be leaving our factory in your capable hands.
What about Leon, babe? You won't get to see him take his first steps or say his first words. He misses you already. And he deserves to have you there to help guide him as he grows up. There's so much that you're going to miss.
Don't worry. I'll always be with you, even if you can't see me. I love you, Rags. Never forget that. I will always love you.
Don't go. Please. Just a little more time.
I'm sorry, young Patchwork. Darling. Darling Patchwork? That sounds lovely, doesn't it? Too soon. Right. I apologize, Rex. If time for interactions between the living and the dead weren't so limited, I would have given you two all the time in the world. But at some point, you'll need to wake up and continue on without him.
Was any of that even real? Or are you just trying to fuck with me?
It was as close to bringing Walden back to you as I could possibly accomplish by myself. Let me try talking to them. Really now? Is that really the best idea? If they wake up now, nothing's going to change. Very well. Do not make me regret this. I am sorry for your loss. But he's right, you know. You are a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for. And right now, there are people out there who have yet to be punished for taking Walden away from you. Are you just going to keep on sitting there and let that slide? Or are you going to get out there and show those traitors who they just messed with?
But you're right. I am weak. Why should I listen to anything you have to say?
Because if you don't, you'll be letting all of your little friends and the rest of the factory down. And with my help, we'll make you into a leader that Walden can be proud of. So, what do you say? Kai? Kai, wake up. Her eggs is gone.
Walls, what you on about now?
Her eggs is gone. Kai, wake up.
What? What in the world? What happened?
I don't know. I just woke up and they were nowhere to be found. I checked the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, the hallway. I can't find them anywhere.
Shit. Where's Leon?
He's in his crib, asleep.
Alrighty, well, let me see if...
What is it?
It's a text. I don't recall being part of no group text around here. Meet me in the break room for an emergency meeting ASAP. Looks like Rex has finally come out of being plush.
And that's good, right? That means you guys can finally get access to that security footage and continue on with the investigation.
Yeah. But it also means I'm gonna have to fill him in on everything we managed to learn so far. They ain't gonna be all too pleased to hear that one of their little friends was in on this. Looks like it's finally time for a certain someone to face the music.
You still think it was the mailman?
Hey, my gut ain't ever stood me wrong before. I'm trusting you to look after Leon till Rags, one of the others, or myself return. You think you can handle that?
I think we'll be just fine.
I mean it this time, Walls. If you so much as harm a single hair on that boy's head, I'll bury you beneath this factory myself. Capiche?
Capiche. No worries.
All right. I'll be back in a bit.
Rags. You have no idea how happy I was when I got your text. Glad to see you're still with us.
How are you holding up there, buddy?
As well as can be expected, I suppose.
Well, whatever you need, you just say the word, all right?
Thanks.
So, you guys are actually inviting me to one of these meetings?
Yeah. I sort of owe you an apology, Jeremy. Walden and I, when you called in saying that you were sick, we didn't believe you and thought you were just faking it. I'm sorry.
No hard feelings. I guess I sort of deserved it, given how often I was calling in. Don't worry about it.
Here you go, Pumpkin. I brought over a fresh batch of brownies just for you.
I'm not really all that hungry right now, Poppy.
Well, here. Drink some water at least. For me?
Sure.
Hagsy? Hags. You gave us quite the scare there, hon. Glad to see you finally come to.
Looks like we're just waiting on Frank and Eddie to make their way over here.
That's strange. Frank's usually one of the first ones to all these meetings, and they usually make sure Eddie files in closely behind them.
Maybe they overslept. Or they just haven't seen the group text yet.
Yeah, about that. How exactly have I been included in this particular meetup?
Because you're a part of the Rainbow Factory crew now. And don't think I wasn't listening in on your conversation with Howdy from last night. I know you've been looking into Walden's death and interrogating suspects. We'll touch on that later on.
All right.
So, why am I being included in this? I thought I was one of those workers that couldn't be trusted.
Well, don't get me wrong. You've got a long way to go before you could be considered a trusted worker. But as far as senior staff members go, you're all right. I'd say your antics have really slowed down ever since the voodoo doll incident.
You know what? I'll take it.
Hold on now. Voodoo doll incident? What exactly was the voodoo doll incident?
Long story.
Ah. Alrighty then.
Hey! Sorry we're late. We didn't exactly hear our phones go off.
We kinda figured.
You doing all right there, Rex? You look?
Fine, I'm fine. Sorry, it's just... There's a lot on my mind right now, okay? I called you guys down here to personally thank you all for stepping up in the wake of Wally's death. Poppy for being the one to handle his body and allowing me time to say goodbye. Howdy, Sally, Frank, and Eddie for helping look after me and Leon. Mordecai for taking the initiative and jump-starting the investigation. And Jeremy... well, I guess for just being there and not causing any more problems.
Setting the bar real high for me there, boss. Sorry. Too soon?
Boss. Guess I'm gonna have to get used to it, aren't I?
Anybody here got a knife? 'Cause I'm sensing some tension that needs trimming back.
I guess there's no easy way to say this, but going forward, Any questions or concerns you have regarding Mordecai's investigation into Wally's murder are to be brought to me. If you have any information about what happened that night or who was involved, I want you to come straight to me or Mordecai with it.
Absolutely. You'll have our full cooperation.
Yeah, we got your back, Rags. No worries.
Frank, Eddie, is there something on your guys' minds that you'd like to say?
Well, not particularly. Why?
Perhaps the two of you don't quite understand. I can see it in your guys' boundary lines. You're hiding something. Something that has to do with Wally. Now, I'm not one for accusations, but...
Okay, I confess.
Huh? Eddie, what?
I can't take this no more. The guilt is eating me alive. It's my fault, Rags. It's my fault Wally got killed.
Well, ain't this some mouse? I knew you were holding out on us from the very beginning.
Please, I'm begging you. Please, just let him fill you in on what really happened that night before you decide on a punishment.
Oh, don't worry. He's gonna tell us all about his involvement in Wally's murder. Aren't ya, Mr. D?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mordecai, sir. No more secrets. No more hiding. I'll tell you whatever it is you want to know.
Alrighty then. Now start talking.
What I told you in here yesterday, it's not exactly how it happened. That night I was approached by one of the workers who asked if I could go fetch Wally for them and bring him down to the lab. Said it was for something really important. I asked them why they couldn't go and get him themselves. They said it was because I was closer to Wally than they were, and that he'd be more willing to listen to me as opposed to them.
And at what time exactly did this worker approach you?
Around 1 a.m., just shortly after I clocked out and locked up the mailroom for the rest of the night. I started making my way over to Wally's office and ended up meeting him halfway there. It turned out that he had just clocked out himself and was on his way to come and get me so we could both go back to the dorms and get some rest, and so that I wouldn't be left working there all by myself.
So you didn't head straight to the dorms and go to bed like you originally said you did?
No, I didn't. I told him that there was a worker that needed help with something down in the lab. He said that there wasn't supposed to be anybody in there at around that time, but that he was wanting to look, see what was going on. See if it wasn't something that couldn't wait till later. The two of us got to talking, and I ended up walking down there with him.
And I reckon that's when the workers ambushed him and pulled him into the lab?
Yes, it is. It all happened so fast, I was barely even able to process it at first. One moment we were just standing there outside the door talking, and the next, I was being shoved to the ground as 5 or so workers started pulling Wally into the lab. It wasn't until I heard stuff being smashed and broken that I realized something wasn't right.
And you didn't attempt to go in there and try to help Wally or none?
I wanted to help him. Really, I did. But one of the workers came out of the lab and they threatened to do something to Frank if I said anything, so...
So you lied and withheld information for all of us for the sake of your husband.
Sorry. I didn't know what else I was supposed to do. So,
So, you sacrificed my husband for the sake of your own.
Oh, come on, Regs. Please. Surely you can understand. What other choice could have Eddie possibly have made in the heat of the moment? He was confused and scared. I mean, come on. If it meant having to choose between saving your own husband or someone else's, what would you have done?
Frank?
How dare you? As I recall, every employee in this facility has sworn their loyalty to Walden and the Rainbow Factory. That means if he told you to do something, you do it. If he required your assistance with something, you assist. And if he was in danger, you get help if you are unable to help him yourself. Perhaps that's also something we need to take into consideration. But you're right, Frank. I would have chosen my husband over someone else's. Because that was Walden. Even if the two of us had never married, it would have always been Walden. Yes,
Just us.
who's us?
All of us.
What do you guys want?
Well, we came here to ask you to show some leniency towards Eddie before you decide on a punishment for him. Frank told us about what happened, and
We just think it'd be a little bit harsh, you know? Putting Eddie to death. If it were just another worker we were talking about here, then by all means. Grinder, spectro extractor, firing squad, experimentation, we wouldn't question it. But this is Eddie we're talking about here. He didn't mean for any of this to happen. And I'm sure knowing that he's a part of the reason why Wally is dead is punishment enough.
But he lied. He withheld vital information from us. There were plenty of things he could have done. He could have come to me. He could have called for security. He could have gone in there and tried to stop the workers himself. If he had only acted, maybe Wally would still be with us.
what about the workers?
If those workers really intended to attack Frank as they attacked Wally, if Eddie chose to say anything, I would have ensured that they would have been kept safe and closely protected. Both Frank and Eddie. All he had to do was say something. What do you think Wally would have done if it were me who had died and the circumstances were the same?
Rex, whatever it is you decide, all we ask is that you do so wisely. We don't want to see you make a decision that you'll wind up regretting for the rest of your life.
Jeremy, what say you?
The truth?
Yeah, the truth.
Eddie's not the enemy here. Those workers used him because they knew they would be able to do so and get him to keep quiet about it. It's like Sally said, just knowing he was involved is punishment enough. And just like you lost your husband, he lost a good friend. I say, save whatever bloodlust you have for those who have actually put their hands on Wally.
Very well. I'll take your arguments into consideration. In the meantime, I think it's time I paid a visit to the security office. I want to see the face of the bastard that killed my husband.
Jesus Christ, I'm too tall for this. First it was you in the vans, and now y'all are hiding out in the fucking walls? What you thinking there, Jammy?
Well, we had to find somewhere we could safely speak our minds. I stopped meeting the other workers in here shortly after that riot we had a few years ago. Not that they wanted me here anyways. That's what I get for taking Walden's side instead of theirs, I suppose.
I didn't know this crawlspace even existed.
Nobody does. Nobody except for a select few workers, that is. That's kind of the whole point. The meeting room was just up ahead.
That can't be right. The meeting room should be on the complete opposite side of the building from this location.
Oh, not your meeting room. Our meeting room. Ta-da!
Y'all call this a meeting room? Looks more like the back booth at a bar somewhere. And it smells like one too.
Yeah, well, it's the best that we've got.
So, this is where they conspired to kill Walden.
Most likely. And judging by all the empty bottles laying around, they definitely throw a little party in here afterwards.
So what you thinking there, Eggsy?
I'll get a hold of maintenance. We don't really have a use for a space like this. And clearly the workers can't be trusted with it. Have it bricked up and sealed off. We have a break room for a reason.
A suggestion, if I may.
Hit me.
Let me tell y'all a little something about amusement.
Way to go, Eddie. I told you guys trying to use one of the senior employees was a bad idea.
Hey, we did what we set out to accomplish, didn't we? Holden's finally dead, and Rags will be replacing him as manager. Hopefully that means everyone else around the Rainbow Factory will finally know a little peace.
Yeah. Besides, it's that one that went spilling the beans to Mordecai.
Hey, you try being interrogated at gunpoint. See how long it takes you before you start spilling your guts.
That's another thing, too. Wow, this facility has a head of interrogation. Sounds just a bit more fucked than just dealing with Walden or Rags.
Oh, please. From the sounds of it, Rags has that guy wrapped around their little finger. He's not gonna do anything unless they tell him to.
Yeah, maybe. But that doesn't mean he wouldn't rough somebody up for the sake of obtaining information from them. You gotta remember, this is Pretty Boy Darling we're talking about.
Huh. Old man darling is more like it.
Shh. Someone's coming.
So, was it worth it? All that trouble you put yourselves through just to get Walden out of the way and put me in charge? Well, you did it. I hope you're happy. Eddie?
Yes, Rex?
After taking it into consideration, I've decided to show you some mercy. As it was never your intention to kill Wally or involve yourself in these workers' scheme, I'm going to let you off with a warning. Never lie to me or the rest of the staff ever again. You're free to rejoin the others on the main floor.
Oh, thank you, Rex. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I promise, I swear, I will never let anything like this happen ever again.
What about the rest of us?
Your punishments will be carried out shortly.
But what about...
Did you really think the amount of cooperation you showed towards Mordecai would be enough to save you? The way I see it, you are no less responsible for killing Walden than Mark was for mating the control panel to the Spectra extractor. You guys got yourselves into this mess together, and a lot of you will share in your punishment together.
Well, I guess that's that then.
Looks like the lot of us didn't achieve shit. They sounded just as cold and heartless as Walden for a moment there.
Must have rubbed off on them.
I mean, at the end of the day, we did take their husband away from them. It's personal. Guess we should have seen this coming.
Hey, do any of you guys feel dizzy all of a sudden? Or is it just me?
Huh? What the hell happened? Where are we?
Huh? That's weird. I think we might be in the meeting place.
That doesn't make any sense. Weren't we just in the cells?
God damn it! Does anybody here have a flashlight?
Hang on. Let's see if I can find the door so we can let a little bit of light in.
I don't like this. Any of you guys remember what happened right before we got here?
Didn't one of you guys say something about feeling dizzy while we were in the cells?
Yeah, I remember someone mentioning something about that.
Guys? Guys, I can't find the door.
Well, keep feeling around for it. It's gotta be there somewhere.
No, guys, I'm being serious. I can't find the freaking door. I mean, I can feel the frame, but there's nothing here but a brick wall.
What?
Rise and shine, you filthy traitors. Judging by the rat-like scurrying I hear come from inside those walls, I reckon you've just woken up and you're looking for a way out of your little hiding spot. I'm afraid I got some terrible news for the lot of you. As punishment for each of your rules and the murder of one Walden Darling, all 14 of you have been immured. The entrance to your little meeting spot has been sealed up, and there ain't no way out.
What?
The factory's new manager, Rags, sends their regards. Have a nice life. What's left of it, that is. The Rainbow Factory thanks you for your service.